The year was 2157. Earth had finally found peace after hundreds of years of fighting and wars. The United Earth Space Agency, called USA by most people, watched over space with stations that floated far from Earth. Most people on Earth forgot these stations existed. They were too busy with their daily lives to think about the vast emptiness of space. Captain Hana Kim stared at the control panel in front of her. The lights from the screens made her tired eyes sting. She had been working for 12 hours straight on Outpost Sigma 7, a space station that orbited Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. Hana was here because she had questioned her bosses one too many times. They called it a punishment detail. She called it exile. Hana pushed her dark hair away from her face and sighed. Nothing ever happened at Sigma 7. Each day blended into the next, filled with routine checks and endless data reviews. The station housed only 5 crew members and most systems ran by themselves. "Captain Kim, would you like some coffee?" Lieutenant Jun Park stood in the doorway holding 2 steaming cups. Jun was Hana's second-in-command, a quiet man who followed rules to the letter. Where Hana was bold and spoke her mind, Jun was careful and thought before he acted. Still, in the 6 months they had worked together, a friendship had formed between them. "Thanks, Jun." Hana took the cup gratefully. "Anything interesting in today's reports?" Jun shook his head. "The usual. Equipment checks all normal. Supply ship will arrive next week. Oh, and headquarters sent another reminder about the annual review." Hana groaned. Paperwork was the worst part of her job. She turned back to her screen, sipping the bitter coffee. The main screen showed data from deep space receivers. These old machines listened to the stars day and night, picking up radio waves and other signals from space. Most were just random noise, the universe talking to itself. The night shift passed slowly. Jun left to check on the other systems. Hana stayed at her post, watching the screens without really seeing them. Her mind wandered to Earth, to the green parks and blue oceans she hadn't seen in person for years. She thought about her family and wondered if they still missed her. A soft beep pulled Hana from her thoughts. She looked at the screen. One of the receivers had picked up something unusual, a pattern that repeated itself every 47 seconds. Hana sat up straighter. This wasn't in the database of known signals. "Computer, analyze signal Delta 227, Hana said, her voice suddenly alert. The computer hummed. "Signal contains repeating pattern. Origin star system HD 219134, approximately 40 light-years from Earth. Pattern does not match any known natural phenomenon." Hana's heart beat faster. She checked the signal again, making sure it wasn't a glitch. The pattern stayed consistent, a series of pulses that couldn't be random. This was deliberate. This was communication. "Jun, get in here," Hana called over the station's comm system. Lieutenant Park arrived within minutes, his usual calm expression replaced with concern. "What's wrong?" "Look at this," Hana pointed to the screen. The deep space receiver picked up a signal. "It's repeating in a pattern that doesn't match anything natural we know of." Jun leaned closer to the screen, his face illuminated by its blue light. "Could be equipment malfunction. These receivers are ancient, I checked. The receiver is working fine." Hana pulled up more data. "The signal is coming from a star system 40 light-years away. And look at the pattern, it's too precise, too regular." Jun frowned. "We should run more tests before we alert headquarters. You know how they are about false alarms." Hana knew Jun was right. USA had strict protocols about reporting potential alien signals. Too many careers had ended after reporting what turned out to be equipment glitches or misidentified natural phenomena. But something about this signal felt different. "We'll run the tests," Hana agreed. "Full spectrum analysis. Check for similar patterns in our database. Test the receiver for faults." For the next 3 days, Hana barely slept. She ran every test she could think of. She compared the signal to every known natural radio source. She checked and double-checked the equipment. The signal remained, growing slightly stronger each day, its pattern unchanged. On the 4th day, Hana called the entire station crew together. Besides herself and Jun, there were 3 others. Dr. Su Jin, the station's medical officer, Engineer Tae Ho, and Communications Specialist Jae Min. "I've completed all standard tests on the signal," Hana told them. "It doesn't match anything in our database. The receiver is working perfectly. And the pattern. It's complex in a way that suggests intelligence." Dr. Su looked skeptical. "Captain, with all due respect, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. We need to be absolutely certain before we report this. I agree with Dr. Su, June said. We should wait at least another week, gather more data. Hana shook her head. The signal is getting stronger. And there's something else I noticed. She pulled up a new graph on the main screen. See how the intervals between repeats are shortening? It's speeding up like it's becoming more urgent. Jae-min finished for her, eyes wide. Tae-ho rubbed his chin thoughtfully. If this is an artificial signal, then we're talking about first contact with an alien civilization. This would change everything. The room fell silent as the weight of those words sank in. If this really was a message from another intelligent species, it would be the most important discovery in human history. Jun broke the silence. Captain, what are you planning to do? Hana straightened her shoulders. I'm going to follow protocol and report it to headquarters. They can decide what to do next. You realize what this could mean for your career if you're wrong? Jun asked quietly. Hana nodded. Her career at UESA was already hanging by a thread after her past disagreements with command. If this turned out to be nothing, she'd never work in space again. But if she was right, some things are more important than careers, Jun. Hana turned to Jae-min. Prepare a data packet with all our findings. Send it to UESA headquarters with Priority 1 clearance. Jae-min nodded and hurried to his station. The others lingered, each lost in their own thoughts about what this might mean. Later that night, after the message had been sent, Hana sat alone in the observation dome. Through the clear dome, she could see Jupiter looming large in the black sky, its swirling storms visible even from this distance. Beyond it, stars stretched into infinity. Jun found her there. He sat down beside her without speaking. After a while, Hana said, Do you think they'll believe us? I don't know, Jun answered honestly, but you did the right thing by reporting it. Hana nodded, her eyes still fixed on the stars. It will take our message about 8 hours to reach Earth. Then who knows how long before they respond. And meanwhile, we keep listening to the signal, Jun said. Yes. Hana's voice was quiet but determined. We keep listening. Neither of them spoke of what was really on their minds. What if the signal wasn't just a hello? What if it was a warning? Back in the control room, the computers continued to record the mysterious signal. Its pattern repeated now every 43 seconds, growing more insistent with each cycle, like a heartbeat speeding up in fear, or a countdown. Days passed with no word from Earth. The crew of Sigma-7 continued their regular duties, but an air of tension had settled over the station. Everyone worked with one ear turned toward the communication system, waiting for headquarters to respond. On the 5th day after sending their message, Hana was in the mess hall eating a tasteless meal of rehydrated food when the station-wide alert sounded. Captain, to the control room immediately. Jae-min's voice came over the speakers, high and excited. Hana dropped her fork and ran, the others close behind her. When they reached the control room, Jae-min was standing at his station, his face pale. We've received a response from headquarters, he said, and something else. The signal changed. Hana moved to his side. Show me. Jae-min pulled up 2 screens. This is the message from UESA. They're sending a research team to examine our findings. They'll be here in 2 weeks. And the signal? Hana asked. Jae-min switched to the second screen. About an hour ago it changed. The pattern is the same, but there's more now. Well, look. The screen showed the familiar pattern they'd been monitoring, but now additional data flowed beneath it. Complex mathematical sequences unlike anything Hana had seen before. It's like it knows we're listening, Tae-ho whispered. Like it's trying to teach us how to understand it. Hana stared at the patterns on the screen. A chill ran down her spine that had nothing to do with the station's cool air. She hadn't just discovered a signal from space. She had opened a door and now something was reaching through that door toward Earth. Record everything, she ordered, and prepare a new report for headquarters. Tell them. She paused, searching for words that could convey the gravity of what she was feeling. Tell them we believe this is a deliberate attempt at communication, and that we recommend extreme caution. As the crew rushed to follow her orders, Hana remained still, her eyes locked on the alien patterns flowing across the screen. In that moment, she knew with absolute certainty that humanity was about to change forever. Whether for better or worse remained to be seen. What Hana couldn't possibly know was that she had just set humanity on a collision course with its destiny among the stars. 3 weeks after Hana's discovery, Earth was buzzing with activity. The signal had been confirmed by other stations. It came from a star system 40 light-years from Earth. Everyone now knew that humans were not alone in the universe. At UESA headquarters in Seoul, scientists worked day and night to understand the alien message. The large building was filled with the best minds Earth had to offer. They all wanted to be part of this historic moment. Dr. Tae-sung walked through the crowded hallways, clutching a tablet to his chest. At 45, he was Earth's leading expert in languages, both human and theoretical alien ones. His normally neat black hair was messy from running his hands through it too many times. He hadn't slept properly in days. "Dr. Sung, wait!" A young assistant ran after him, waving a data chip. "The new calculations you asked for." Tae took the chip with a tired smile. "Thank you, Mina." He slipped it into his tablet as he continued walking toward the main conference room. Inside, a dozen people sat around a large table. At the head was Admiral Min Lee, her silver-streaked black hair pulled back in a tight bun. Despite being in her 60s, Min had the sharp eyes and straight posture of someone half her age. 40 years in Earth's space forces had made her a legend. Now she faced the greatest challenge of her career. "Dr. Sung," Min nodded as Tae entered. "I hope you have good news for us." Tae connected his tablet to the room's main display. "I believe we've had a breakthrough, Admiral. My team has been analyzing the mathematical sequences in the signal." The large screen filled with complex patterns and symbols. Tae pointed to specific sections. "When we arrange these sequences properly, they form what appears to be a three-dimensional map. And this recurring pattern here," he highlighted a pulsing symbol. "We believe it's a distress call." A murmur went through the room. Min leaned forward, her eyes intense. "You're saying they're asking for help?" "Yes," Tae confirmed. "The message contains mathematical concepts that are universal. The patterns match distress protocols used by early human space missions, but with a complexity that suggests far advanced technology." "Could it be a trap?" asked a stern-faced man in a military uniform. General Q Han had been skeptical from the start. Tae shook his head. "The amount of energy needed to send this signal across 40 light-years would be enormous. If they had hostile intentions, there are far more efficient ways to approach us." Min stood up and walked to the screen, studying the patterns. "Dr. Sung, how confident are you in this interpretation?" 87%, Tae answered promptly. "The margins of error are small. This is a plea for help." Min turned to face the room. Her expression was grave. "Then we have a decision to make. Do we simply respond with a message that will take 40 years to reach them? Or do we take action?" The room erupted in debate. Some argued for caution, saying Earth should observe longer before risking contact. Others pushed for immediate action, seeing this as humanity's chance to join a galactic community. Min let them talk for exactly 5 minutes. Then she raised her hand and the room fell silent. "I've listened to all of you," she said, "and I've made my decision. Earth will respond not just with words but with action." She pressed a button on the table and the display changed to show a sleek spacecraft. "The Prometheus is ready for its first mission. It's equipped with our new FTL drive, capable of traveling at speeds we've only dreamed of before. We can reach the signal's origin in months, not decades." Surprised looks passed between the people in the room. The faster-than-light drive had been a closely guarded secret, still in testing phases. "Admiral," General Q's voice was tight with concern. "The FTL drive has only been tested in our solar system. Using it for an interstellar journey is extremely risky." "So is doing nothing," Min countered. "If this truly is a distress call, every moment we delay could cost lives." She turned to a young man sitting quietly at the far end of the table. "Captain Dae-yoon, you've been selected to command this mission. Your thoughts?" All eyes turned to Dae. At 38, he was young for such a command, but his record was impeccable. He had a calm, thoughtful face and moved with the quiet confidence of someone who had earned his position through merit, not politics. "I believe the risk is justified," Dae said, his voice steady. "Humanity has always reached out to those in need. If we have the ability to help, we should try." Min nodded, satisfied. "The Prometheus will depart in 2 weeks. Dr. Sung, you'll join the mission to continue studying the signal. Captain Yoon will select the rest of his crew." She looked around the room. "Are there any other concerns?" General Q opened his mouth to object further, but was interrupted by a commotion at the door. A flustered aide burst in, breathing hard. "Admiral, we've received another transmission." The room went still. Min's eyes narrowed. "What kind of transmission?" "It's from the same source, but different," the aide explained, connecting his device to the display. "This one contains visuals." The screen flickered, then filled with images that made everyone gasp. They showed a beautiful world with towering crystal cities and beings that looked almost like humans, but with blue-tinted skin and large, expressive eyes. Then the images changed to scenes of destruction. Massive insectoid creatures tore through the cities. The blue-skinned beings fled in terror as their world burned around them. The final image showed a star chart with a clear marker pointing to Earth's location. Beside it was what appeared to be a countdown. The room was deadly silent when the transmission ended. "They weren't just asking for help," Day said quietly. "They were warning us." Min's face hardened with resolve. "We leave in 1 week." The next 7 days passed in a blur of activity. The Prometheus, Earth's most advanced spacecraft, was prepared for its historic journey. Supplies were loaded, systems checked and rechecked, and the crew carefully selected. Captain Dae-Yoon stood in the ship's command center, reviewing the final preparations. The Prometheus was beautiful, a marvel of human engineering over 300 meters long with smooth lines and powerful engines. It could house a crew of 50 comfortably for years if necessary. "Captain, the last of the crew has boarded." Day turned to see his first officer, Commander Mia Kang. Mia was efficient and brilliant, with short black hair and sharp eyes that missed nothing. "Thank you, Commander." Day nodded. "And our special passenger?" "Captain Hana Kim arrived an hour ago," Mia reported. "She's been assigned quarters near the communications center as requested." Day nodded again. He had specifically asked for Hana to join the mission. After all, she was the one who had first discovered the signal. Her experience might prove valuable. "The security team is complete as well," Mia continued. "Chief Suk Hwang has them running drills in the lower deck." Day smiled slightly. Suk was a legend in security circles, a compact woman whose combat skills were matched only by her fierce loyalty. If they encountered trouble, there was no one he'd rather have leading the security team. "And Dr. Sung?" "In the lab, already working," Mia said with a slight roll of her eyes. "He's demanding more computing power for his translation algorithms." "Give him whatever he needs," Day said. "Understanding that signal is our top priority." Mia nodded and left to carry out his orders. Day turned back to the view screen which showed Earth from orbit. Beautiful, blue, and vulnerable. He wondered if he would see it again. A soft chime announced a visitor. Day turned to see Admiral Min entering the command center. "Admiral?" He straightened respectfully. "I didn't expect to see you before departure." Min walked to his side, her eyes on the view screen. "I wanted to speak with you one last time, Captain. Are you aware of how important this mission is?" "Yes, Admiral," Day said. "First contact with an alien species, potentially saving them from destruction." "It's more than that," Min said quietly. "Those images we saw. If those insectoid creatures are real and if they're headed toward Earth." She didn't finish the thought. Day understood. This wasn't just a rescue mission. It was reconnaissance, learning about a potential threat to Earth. "We'll find out what's happening," he promised, "and we'll bring that information back to Earth." Min nodded. "The Prometheus is equipped with our most advanced weapon systems, just in case. But remember, diplomacy is your first approach. We want allies, not enemies." "Understood," Dee said. "Good luck, Captain." Min extended her hand and Day shook it firmly. "Earth is counting on you." After the Admiral left, Day took one last long look at Earth. Then he straightened his shoulders and turned to the ship's intercom. "All hands, this is the captain. Prepare for departure in 30 minutes. Department heads report status." One by one the reports came in. "Engineering ready. Life support systems green. Navigation plotted. Security standing by. Medical prepared. Communications online." Day sat in the captain's chair, feeling its weight of responsibility. "Commander Kang, take us out." The Prometheus glided away from Earth's orbit with graceful power. Once they were clear of all satellites and space stations, Day gave the next order. "Prepare for FTL jump." The bridge crew worked with focused precision, entering coordinates and running final checks on the experimental drive. "FTL systems ready?" "Captain," reported the navigation officer. Jisoo Day took a deep breath. This was it. The moment humanity would truly reach for the stars. Engage. The stars outside stretched into lines of light, and the Prometheus leaped into the unknown. The Prometheus limped back toward Earth, its hull bearing scars from the brief encounter with the Vex. The damage wasn't severe, but it was a harsh reminder of what they faced, an enemy far beyond Earth's technological level. In the ship's conference room, Captain Dae-Yoon met with his senior officers and the Illyrian leaders. Holograms displayed the data they had gathered about the Vex. The mood was somber as they discussed what awaited Earth. Based on their current position and speed, the Vex will reach our solar system in 18 months, Lieutenant Ji Kang reported, pointing to a star chart. They're building ships as they travel, using resources from asteroid fields and small moons. Zorith, who had emerged as the spokesperson for the Illyrians, added details from his people's experience. They will send scouts first, small ships to assess Earth's defenses. Then come the harvesters, massive ships that will descend to extract resources and... He paused, the memory clearly painful. Begin the seeding process. Dr. Tae-sung had been working non-stop with the Illyrians to learn everything he could about the invaders. The Vex operate with a hive mind, he explained. Individual Vex have limited intelligence, but together they form a collective consciousness of immense computing power. Is there any weakness we can exploit? Sukwang asked, ever focused on tactical options. Alanis, the eldest Illyrian, spoke up. We found none. We were peaceful. Had few weapons. By the time we understood what was happening, it was too late. Well, Earth isn't defenseless, Commander Mia Kang said firmly. We have military satellites, missile systems, space forces. All useless against the Vex, Zorith said quietly. Their shields absorb energy weapons. Their hulls resist physical impacts. We tried everything we had. A heavy silence fell over the room. Earth, with all its military might, seemed as helpless as the peaceful Illyrians had been. We have one advantage the Illyrians didn't have, Hana Kim said suddenly. Everyone turned to look at her. Time. We have 18 months to prepare. The Illyrians had no warning. Captain Day nodded. Hana's right. And we have something else too, the Illyrians themselves. Their knowledge and experience will be invaluable. We will help in any way we can, Zorith promised. Perhaps together we can find what my people alone could not. A way to defeat the Vex. As the Prometheus continued its journey home, the crew worked tirelessly. Engineers repaired the damage to the hull. Scientists studied the Vex data. Communications prepared the report that would be sent ahead to Earth, warning of what was coming. In her quarters, Hana sat cross-legged on her bed, surrounded by data pads. She had been reviewing the Illyrian records of the Vex attack, looking for any pattern or weakness that might have been missed. Her eyes were red from lack of sleep, but she couldn't rest. Not when Earth's future hung in the balance. A soft chime announced a visitor. Come in, Hana called, not looking up from her work. Captain Day entered carrying 2 cups of something hot. I thought you might need this, he said, offering one to her. Hana took it gratefully, inhaling the steam. Coffee, real coffee? Tea, actually. From my personal supply. Day sat on the edge of the bed. You should get some rest, Hana. You've been at this for days. She shook her head. I can't. Every time I close my eyes, I see that dead planet. I see Earth looking the same way. Day was quiet for a moment, sipping his tea. I understand, but exhausting yourself won't help Earth. Hana sighed, knowing he was right. She set aside her data pad and took a proper drink of the tea. It was good, earthy, and slightly sweet. Have you found anything useful? Dee asked, nodding toward her research. Maybe. The Vex attacked 17 worlds before the Illyrians. Each time they followed the same pattern. They're efficient but not creative. They don't adapt well to unexpected situations. Day raised an eyebrow. That could be significant. Anything else? Hana hesitated. There's something strange in the communication patterns between Vex units. Gaps I can't explain. Almost like... She struggled to find the right words. Like parts of their hive mind are missing or dormant. Keep working on it, Day encouraged. But promise me you'll get some sleep first. After Dee left, Hana tried to rest, but her mind kept working on the puzzle of the Vex communication patterns. There was something there, something important, if only she could see it. 3 weeks later, Earth came into view on the Prometheus's main screen. It looked peaceful and beautiful, Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land masses. Home. But the mood aboard the ship wasn't celebratory. Everyone knew they brought terrible news with them. As they approached Earth orbit, dozens of ships came out to meet them, mostly small military vessels, but also news ships broadcasting the historic return of the Prometheus. "We're being hailed by UESA headquarters," reported Communications Officer C.O. Jin. On screen, Day ordered, Admiral Min Lee's face appeared, lined with the months that had passed but still commanding respect. "Captain Yoon, welcome home. Your preliminary report has caused quite a stir here." "Admiral," Day nodded respectfully. "I'm afraid the full report is even more concerning than what we sent ahead. We have guests aboard, the last survivors of the Illyrian civilization, and we have detailed information about the enemy approaching Earth." Min's expression was grave. "We've called an emergency session of the United Earth Council. You and your senior officers will brief them immediately upon landing. Prepare the Illyrians as well. Their testimony will be crucial." Hours later, in the Grand Chamber of the United Earth Council in Seoul, Captain Day stood before representatives from every nation on Earth. Admiral Min sat at the head of the council, with military and scientific leaders filling the seats around her. "The Vex are unlike any threat humanity has faced," Day explained, as holograms displayed the insectoid creatures in terrifying detail. "They have destroyed 17 civilizations that we know of, each more advanced than our own." A murmur of fear ran through the council chamber. General Q Han, still skeptical, spoke up. "Surely our military capabilities were considered in our assessment," Day interrupted firmly. "The Vex technology is centuries beyond ours. Their numbers are in the millions, and they cannot be reasoned with or deterred." The council erupted in panicked discussion. Some called for immediate evacuation to Mars colonies. Others suggested surrender might save lives. Still others insisted Earth's nuclear arsenal could protect them. Admiral Min silenced them with a sharp command. "Enough! Panic will not save Earth. Captain Yoon, what do you recommend?" All eyes turned to Day. He stood tall, his voice steady. "We fight. We have 18 months to prepare, and we have something no other civilization had. The knowledge of what happened before. We know what's coming." Zorith, invited to address the council, stepped forward. The human delegate stared in awe at the blue-skinned alien, the first extraterrestrial being most had ever seen. "My world was peaceful," Zorith said, his English now much improved after weeks of practice. "We had no weapons, no warriors. We believed in harmony above all else." His large eyes swept the room. "It was our greatest strength, and our fatal weakness." Dr. Tay, standing beside Zorith as translator and guide, added, "The Illyrians have already begun sharing their technology with us. Their knowledge of quantum computing alone could advance our capabilities by decades. And their knowledge of the Vex is invaluable," Hana said. "We've identified several potential weaknesses in Vex biology and communication systems." But doubt still clouded many faces in the council chamber. The task seemed impossible, to defeat an enemy that had never known defeat with only 18 months to prepare. It was then that Dr. Tay made an unexpected observation. "All the conquered species had one thing in common," he announced, drawing everyone's attention. "They evolved in peaceful stellar neighborhoods. Their development never required them to fight for survival at our level." The room fell silent as this sank in. For all of humanity's violent history, for all the scars of countless wars that had shaped human civilization, Earth now possessed something unique, a species tempered by conflict, united by facing existential threats, and driven by an unbreakable will to survive. "Humanity's greatest shame may become our salvation," Admiral Min realized aloud. "We know how to fight against overwhelming odds. We know how to adapt. We know how to survive." A new energy filled the chamber, not optimism exactly, but determination. Earth would not go quietly like the Illyrians had. Earth would stand and fight. In the months that followed, Earth transformed. Under Admiral Min's leadership, the planet mobilized on an unprecedented scale. Old conflicts between nations were set aside as humanity united against the common threat. The Prometheus became the flagship of a new fleet, with Captain Day overseeing the integration of Illyrian technology with human ingenuity. Scientists worked around the clock to develop new weapons that could penetrate Vex shields. Military forces trained for the coming battle. Studying the Vex tactics from Illyrian records, Hana Kim and Lieutenant Jun Park, who had rejoined her from Sigma 7, led a team developing new communication systems. Based on Hana's discovery of weaknesses in the Vex hive mind, they created devices that could disrupt Vex coordination. If we can't outgun them, we'll outsmart them, Hana told her team as they worked through another sleepless night. Security Chief Suk Hwang trained Earth's defense forces, developing tactics specifically designed to exploit weaknesses in Vex biology. The Ji Kong. After months of traveling through space, the Prometheus finally reached its destination. The ship dropped out of FTL speed near the coordinates of the distress signal. The crew gathered on the bridge, eager to see the Illyrian homeworld. What they found instead left them speechless with horror. The planet hung in space like a wounded animal. Once beautiful continents were now black scars. The oceans, which should have been blue, were dark and lifeless. Massive chunks had been torn from the planet's surface, leaving gaping holes visible even from orbit. Captain Dae Yoon stood still, his face grim as he took in the devastation. Beside him, Dr. Tae Sung whispered something in Korean, a prayer for the dead. "Scan for life signs," Dae ordered, his voice steady despite the terrible sight before them. Lieutenant Ji Kang, the ship's science officer, worked quickly at his station. His fingers moved over the controls with practiced precision, but his face grew more troubled with each passing moment. "Captain, I'm detecting—" Ji paused, checking his readings again. 14 life signs. Just 14 on the entire planet. A shocked silence fell over the bridge. A world that had once been home to billions now held only 14 survivors. "Where are they?" Dae asked quietly. Ji adjusted the scanners. "They're concentrated in a fortified structure near the equator. It appears to be deep underground, which may have protected them from whatever happened on the surface." Hana Kim, who had been standing silently near the communication station, spoke up. "Captain, I'm picking up a weak transmission from the surface. It matches the frequency of the original distress signal, but it's much fainter. Put it through," Dae ordered. A crackling sound filled the bridge, followed by a series of musical tones and clicks. The language of the Illyrians, now familiar to the crew after months of study. Dr. Tae moved to Hana's station. "They're requesting communication," he translated. "They've detected our ship," Dae nodded. "Respond. Tell them we're here to help." While Tai and Hana worked to establish communication, Dae called Security Chief Suk Hwang to the bridge. When she arrived, her normally stoic face showed a flicker of shock as she saw the devastated planet on the view screen. "Suk, I need you to prepare an away team," Dae said. "We have survivors down there." Suk's professional demeanor returned immediately. "Yes, Captain." "How many security officers do you want?" 4 plus yourself, Dae decided. "Dr. Tae will join you to handle communications. Take a medical team as well." "And me," Hana said, turning from her station. "I should go too," Dae hesitated. Hana wasn't trained for away missions, but she had been working closely with Tai on the Illyrian language. Her knowledge could be valuable. "All right," he agreed, "but you follow Chief Hwang's orders at all times." While the away team prepared, the Prometheus moved into a stable orbit around the Illyrian planet. Shuttlecraft 1 was readied for the journey to the surface. In the shuttle bay, Suk briefed her team. "We don't know what we'll find down there. Keep your weapons ready but not raised. These people have survived something terrible. They'll be traumatized, possibly dangerous." The away team boarded the shuttle, Suk and her 4 security officers, Dr. Tae, Hana, and 2 medical personnel. As the shuttle doors closed, Hana caught one last glimpse of the Prometheus. It looked strong and safe compared to the dead world they were about to visit. The journey through the planet's atmosphere was rough. Storms raged in the toxic air, battering the small craft. Through the shuttle windows, they could see the extent of the destruction. Entire cities lay in ruins. Forests had been reduced to ash. Nothing moved on the surface. "This wasn't just an attack," Dr. Tae said softly as they flew over a massive crater. "This was consumption. Look how the land has been stripped away in layers." The shuttle finally approached the coordinates of the survivors. A massive structure rose from the ruined landscape, a pyramid of blue-black material that seemed to absorb light. At its base, a small landing pad remained intact. "Setting down," announced the shuttle pilot, easing the craft onto the pad. Suk checked her weapon one last time. "Stay alert. Move only when I give the order." The shuttle doors opened and the team stepped onto the Illyrian world. The air was breathable thanks to their protective suits, but sensors warned of high radiation and toxic particles. The sky above was a sickly yellow-green crossed by dark clouds. A cold wind howled around the pyramid, carrying the smell of death and decay. "Life signs are stronger," reported one of the security officers, checking his scanner. "Inside the structure," Sook nodded. "Let's move." They approached the pyramid cautiously. What had appeared smooth from a distance was actually covered in intricate carvings and symbols. Dr. Tay paused to examine them. "Beautiful," he murmured. "Their written language. It tells their history." "Later, Doctor," Sook urged, pointing to a dark opening at the base of the pyramid. "We need to find the survivors." The team entered the pyramid, their way lit by the lights on their suits. Inside, the air was cleaner, filtered by systems still functioning after the devastation. The corridor sloped downward, leading deep beneath the surface. "Hello?" Dr. Tay called out in his best approximation of the Illyrian greeting they had studied. His voice echoed in the empty halls. For a moment there was no response. Then a soft blue light appeared ahead of them, growing brighter as it approached. The team tensed, weapons ready. The light resolved into a figure, an Illyrian. It walked upright like a human but was taller and more slender. Its skin had a blue tint that seemed to glow faintly in the darkness. Large almond-shaped eyes regarded the humans with caution and what might have been hope. "We come from Earth," Dr. Tay said, speaking slowly in the Illyrian language. "We received your distress signal." The Illyrian tilted its head, listening. Then it spoke, a series of musical notes and clicks. Dr. Tay listened intently, then turned to the others. He says his name is Zorith. He's asking us to follow him to the others." Zorith turned and glided down the corridor, the blue light emanating from his skin illuminating the way. The humans followed, still wary but increasingly curious. The passage opened into a large chamber deep underground. Here 13 other Illyrians waited. Some sat on simple benches. Others stood near what appeared to be control panels. All turned to stare at the human visitors. One Illyrian, older than the rest, stepped forward. This one wore a simple robe with markings that suggested authority. Zorith spoke to the elder rapidly, gesturing toward the humans. "I am Alanis," the elder said in halting English, surprising everyone. "You understand our call?" Dr. Tay stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Yes, we came to help. My name is Tai Sung. We are from Earth." Alanis studied them with eyes that held centuries of wisdom and recent horror. "You are like us, but different." "We are human," Tay explained. "How do you know our language?" Alanis moved to a control panel and waved a slender hand over it. A holographic display appeared, showing Earth. "We study many worlds, many peoples. We learn to speak." In case of what?" Hana asked. Alanis's large eyes filled with what could only be described as sorrow. "In case this happened." A hand gestured toward the surface above them. "What did happen here?" Sook asked, her voice gentler than usual. Alanis touched another control and a new hologram appeared. It showed the insectoid creatures they had seen in the original transmission, the Vex. In the detailed hologram, they were even more terrifying. Massive, with multiple limbs and segmented bodies, covered in what looked like both organic armor and technological components. "The Vex came," Alanis said, the musical quality of the Illyrian voice distorting with emotion. "Without warning. We were peaceful, had no weapons. They consume everything. Your people," Hana said softly. "How many?" "We were billions," Zorith spoke up, his English better than Alanis's. "Now we are 14. The last." The humans fell silent, the enormity of the genocide overwhelming. Zorith continued, moving to another control panel. "We built this shelter long ago in case of natural disaster. It saved us, but we could only watch as our world died." A new hologram appeared, showing the Vex ships, massive hives that descended from space, disgorging thousands of the insectoid creatures. "They take resources first," Zorith explained. "Metals, minerals, water, then—" He hesitated, his voice faltering. "Then they take people. For what purpose?" Tay asked, though part of him didn't want to know. "Incubators," Zorith said, the word falling like a stone. "They plant eggs. Inside living hosts. New Vex grow. Consume host from inside." Hana felt sick. She saw the same horror on the faces of her fellow humans. "Why?" she whispered. "Why do this?" Alanis spoke again, voice heavy with the weight of knowledge. "They are not like us. Not like you. They do not think as we think. They only consume, grow, move to next world. How long ago did they leave?" Suk asked, her tactical mind already working on the implications. Zorth and Alanis exchanged looks. 2 cycles of our star, Zorth answered. What you would call 2 years. And where did they go? Day's voice came through the comm system. He had been listening from the Prometheus. Alanis looked up as if seeing through the layers of rock to the ship in orbit. They build, prepare, for next world. The elder Illyrian touched the hologram of Earth. Your world. Back on the Prometheus, Captain Day felt a chill run through him. How long do we have? Through the comm link, Alanis's voice was clear despite the distance. They moved slower. The Vex arrived with overwhelming force, a swarm of biomechanical ships that filled the view screens of Earth's defense stations. Their first wave moved toward the orbital platforms, expecting an easy victory as they had experienced 17 times before. But this time was different. This time they faced humanity. All stations activate defense shields, Admiral Min ordered from the command center. Hold fire until they're within optimal range. Across Earth's orbit, the network of battle stations hummed with power as shields built with Illyrian technology came online. The Vex fired their first volley, beams of energy, that had sliced through Illyrian defenses with ease, only to be absorbed by Earth shields. Shields, holding at 93%, reported a technician. In the command center, the Illyrian modifications are working. Admiral Min allowed herself a small smile. Let them get closer. The Vex ships, apparently confused by the failure of their opening attack, adjusted their formation and advanced. When they reached the designated distance, Min gave the order everyone had been waiting for. All stations return fire. Show them what Earth can do. The battle stations unleashed their weapons, a combination of human missile technology and Illyrian energy weapons. The explosions lit up space as several Vex ships were hit. Some were destroyed outright. Others spun out of control, their systems damaged. First blood to us, General Q commented, standing beside Min. But they're still coming. Indeed, the Vex absorbed the losses without slowing. More ships moved forward, adapting to the human weapons, their formation becoming tighter and more defensive. In the skies above Earth, the human fleet engaged the enemy. The Prometheus Prime, rebuilt and enhanced, led the charge under Captain Day Yoon's command. He stood on the bridge, calmly giving orders as his ship danced through the battle, targeting Vex command vessels. They're changing tactics, Commander Mia Kang warned. Focusing fire on our lead ships. As expected, Day replied. Execute Maneuver Delta, let's see if they can adapt to this. The Earth fleet suddenly broke formation, ships scattering in seemingly random directions. The Vex, programmed to target organized resistance, faltered momentarily. In that brief window of confusion, human ships struck from multiple angles, taking out a dozen enemy vessels. Aboard the communications hub ship Hermes, Hana Kim monitored the Vex transmissions. They're having trouble coordinating, she reported to Admiral Min. Our disruptors are working, but they're adapting quickly. Boost power to the disruptors, Min ordered. Focus on these frequencies. She transmitted a set of numbers based on Dr. Tay's latest analysis of Vex communication patterns. Hana implemented the changes and immediately saw results on her screens. The Vex fleet's movements became more erratic. Ships collided with each other. Some fired at empty space. It's working, Hana exclaimed. We're breaking through their hive mind. But the victory was short-lived. The largest Vex ship, a massive harvester at the center of the fleet, emitted a pulse that seemed to reset the smaller vessels. They quickly reformed, adapting to the disruption. They're learning, Hana realized with growing concern. The central ship is compensating for our interference. The battle raged for days. Earth's defenses fought valiantly, but the Vex numbers seemed endless. For every ship destroyed, 2 more took its place. The orbital battle stations were targeted one by one. Some held, but others fell, their crews evacuating in emergency pods. By the 5th day, exhaustion was taking its toll on the human forces. The Vex, operating as machines, needed no rest. They pressed their advantage, breaking through the outer defense line. In the command center, Admiral Min received increasingly desperate reports. Station Gamma has fallen. Fleet Group 3 is down to 30% strength. The Vex have destroyed our moon base. Min's face remained composed, but her eyes betrayed her concern. What's the status of the Prometheus? Still operational, came the reply. Captain Yoon is engaging the harvester ships directly. Indeed, the Prometheus was in the heart of the battle. Its enhanced shields had held against multiple attacks, allowing it to strike deep into the Vex fleet. Captain Day targeted the command ships, trying to disrupt the Vex hierarchy. Shield strength at 40%, reported Navigator Jisoo. We can't take much more of this. We just need to hold a little longer, Day said. Lieutenant Jun, status of the boarding teams? Jun Park, who had joined the Prometheus as tactical officer, checked his screens. Sook's team is in position. They're ready for transport to the main harvester. This was the riskiest part of Earth's strategy, a direct assault on the Vex command ship. If they could destroy it from within, the rest of the fleet might fall into disarray. Sook Hwang stood in the Prometheus's transport bay with her elite team. They wore combat suits enhanced with Illyrian technology, designed to withstand Vex weapons. Each carried weapons specifically designed to damage Vex biology. Remember the plan, Sook told them. We get in, we set the charges, we get out. Don't engage the Vex directly unless necessary. Captain Day's voice came over the comm. Bringing you into position now. Chief Hwang. Transport in 30 seconds. The Prometheus accelerated toward the massive Vex harvester, dodging enemy fire. When they were close enough, Day gave the order. Initiate transport. In a flash of energy, Sook and her team disappeared from the Prometheus and materialized inside the Vex vessel. They found themselves in a nightmarish environment. Organic matter fused with mechanical components pulsing with alien life. Move quickly, Sook ordered, consulting the map based on Illyrian intelligence. The central node should be 2 levels down. The team advanced cautiously through the ship. They encountered few Vex at first. Most were outside, engaged in the battle. Those they did meet were quickly dispatched with their specialized weapons. Meanwhile, the space battle reached a critical point. The Vex had broken through to Earth's atmosphere. Several harvesters descended toward major cities, their massive forms blocking out the sun. They're starting the invasion, Admiral Min realized with horror. Activate planetary defenses. On Earth's surface, massive cannons that had been built in secret rose from hidden bunkers. They fired at the descending Vex ships, causing damage but not stopping them. The first harvester landed near Shanghai, disgorging thousands of Vex ground troops. Another touched down outside Cairo. A third approached New York. The news from Sook's team was equally grim. We've reached the central chamber, she reported, her breathing heavy. But we've been detected. Vex are converging on our position. Lots of them. Inside the harvester, Sook and her team fought desperately. They had reached the pulsing core of the ship, a massive biological computer that directed the Vex fleet. They planted their charges, but Vex warriors poured into the chamber from all directions. We need more time to set the final charge, Sook shouted over the sound of weapons fire. Lieutenant Jun, monitoring from the Prometheus, made a split-second decision. I'm coming in, he told Captain Day. They need backup. Before Day could object, Jun had activated a personal transport device, Illyrian technology that hadn't been fully tested for human use. He vanished from the bridge in a flash of blue light. He materialized in the harvester's central chamber, immediately firing his weapon at the advancing Vex. Set the charges, he shouted to Sook. I'll hold them off. Sook nodded grimly and turned to finish the task. Jun positioned himself at the chamber entrance, his weapon cutting down Vex after Vex. But they kept coming, their insectoid bodies climbing over their fallen comrades. Charges set, Sook announced. Everyone out! Transport back to the Prometheus. Her team activated their transport devices, disappearing one by one. Sook turned to Jun, who was still firing at the Vex. Jun, let's go! Jun checked his device. It's damaged, he said, showing the cracked casing. You go. I'll find another way out. There is no other way, Sook protested. The charges will detonate in 2 minutes. Jun met her eyes calmly. Then go. Tell Hana. He paused, then smiled slightly. Tell her we die as humans have always died, protecting our home. Sook wanted to argue, but more Vex were pouring in. With a final nod of respect to Jun, she activated her transport device and vanished. Alone in the Vex ship, Jun fought on. When the last of his ammunition was spent, he picked up a fallen Vex weapon and continued firing. As the Vex closed in, he backed toward the charges he had helped set. He would make sure they detonated even if it cost him his life. On the Prometheus, Captain Day received Sook's team. Where's Lieutenant Park? he demanded. He stayed behind, Sook reported, her voice heavy. His transport was damaged. He's making sure the charges detonate. Day's face showed a moment of pain before his command training took over. Move us to a safe distance. Prepare for the explosion. Aboard the communication ship, Hana received the news about June with stunned silence. They had known each other for years, had discovered the alien signal together on that quiet outpost. Now he was sacrificing himself to save Earth. Hana, we need you focused. Admiral Min's voice cut through her grief. The Vex are changing their communication patterns again. We need to adapt our disruptors. Drawing a deep breath, Hana returned to her task. Jun would want her to continue the fight. She adjusted the disruptors, targeting the new frequencies. Inside the Vex harvester, Jun stood his ground as the charges counted down.